Hey everyone, it's good to see you all here. I see Caboodle Bry has joined us, even though it was Karen turning up the volume for him. Sorry you're feeling sick. I hope that you get better really soon. And Karen, way to go on that bike ride in the cold. My goodness, I'm jealous because I want to be out, but it is freezing here, and I just can't do it. So Anatilla's here, of course, my best companion ever, and Air Fry and Auntie's here. Visual Keto, hello. Oh, an exchange student too. And oh, Karen, first time. Well, welcome to the chaos. Uh, oh, and C Hummel's here, and Glenda's here. Hey, and Cool Kid Keto, and Visual Keto, and Hungry Heath. Hey. So, all right. I went crazy this week. So hopefully it pays off. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to make coffee first. Even though my table is littered with bowls. Because I'm going to need coffee for this. But, oh, an exchange student too said it's 40s in Illinois. It says it's 29 here. But the wind is out there. And I stepped out for just a few minutes. And it was just completely chilling. Oh, hi, Tim. Tim has joined us. So good to see everybody tonight. It's exciting. So I know it seems like we did the V60 already, but today I have the Hario V60 switch, and it is different. So I see, hey, J-Dog, good to see you here. An exchange student noticed that I do actually have a lot on this table. I swear I brought every container that I have down here. It's crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. I went way too wild, but it's going to be good for us. So the Hario V60 switch, it's been around a little bit, but it's one of their newer designs. And I kind of forgot about it. I backed it on a Kickstarter for Hario US and got it, and it sat in a box, and I still love my regular V60 so much that I never even thought about it and didn't even take it out of the box. And then I gave it a couple tries, and it's amazing. It's awesome. I am madly in love with it. So if you remember the previous V60, the red one that I have, it's plastic. This is Hario glass. And when we get to the extra nerdy part of the live stream, I'll explain why that's pretty awesome and important. And Air Fry Auntie says it sounds like a video game to make coffee, and it kind of does. And I will explain here a little bit about it. So in addition to it being the Hario glass, which you can buy regular V60s that are the Hario glass, but the switch is special. It also has the rubber sealing flange, so it's an all one piece. But here's the important part. It literally has a switch here that you push up and down. So, and what that has, and I don't know if you'll really be able to see it on the camera a little bit. There you go. So right there in the bottom, there is like a ball bearing built into the switch, and that's what allows you to hold the brew in and give you the ability to have a controlled full immersion brew as opposed to just the standard pour over. And it gives you a little bit more control on how long it steeps and how fast, and it does take longer for the drawdown. And if you haven't been here for a lot of coffee live streams, or maybe I didn't even explain it and I just started using the words, hard to say. Drawdown is the words in coffee terms for the water coming down through the spout from pour over into your container. The other fun part on the V60 switch is that it actually comes with a beaker for pouring, and it's Hario glass. And again, since we've talked about the original V60, we talked about V60 design and stuff. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about why Hario glass is awesome. So, but that will come after cake and after coffee. So I was super stoked, and it was maybe a nerd thing to be excited by the beaker. The beaker has measurements on it for 100, 200, 300. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to the full 300 milliliters, but we'll come close to it. We're making a strong but small cup of coffee this evening. So I also had already poured some hot water in it and discarded it so my glass is nice and toasty. So that's the main thing. It still has the very distinctive swirls inside the cone for the V60. And let me grab, it's still the same old V60 filters. Oh, exchange student 2. Yes, we're having cake pops tonight, and not like your regular keto cake pops. I went crazy. These are some wildly extravagant cake pops. So, should be very interesting. Let me put the rest of these filters around. Brew is nothing terribly different than a lot of things we've done, but the fact that you can do this controlled full immersion really brings the Hario V60 up like 10 notches for me. And I already like the V60 itself. So I'm going to put my cone filter in there. I do like the paper filters. I feel that you should actually use the V60 filters. However, if you are impatient and you don't care for the fact that the drawdown is going to be 2 to 3, maybe even 4 minutes, they do make fast draw filters. In my mind, it's maybe not as delicious and not as rich of a coffee as I prefer. However, if you're looking for your regular standard cup of joe, they're just fine. Tonight I have gosh, that smells so good. Every time I open my fresh, because I always grind like right before the live stream. So, and then I put the cover on it so that fresh grind smell like puffs right out, and it's awesome. So, I'm going to put about 15 grams of coffee, which is about 3 tablespoons. And this is a coffee spoon. Tonight I am using the Nguyen 100% Arabica coffee beans, and I am using about a 3 grind, so our typical, standard. I'm gonna add just a smidge more because it feels light to me. Not too much more. About a 1/4 tablespoon. There we go. Let's see. Let's take a look here and see. Oh, Blue Dove says, extra nerdy, glass is good. Oh, and hello. And hello, Sharon, who's joined us. So, oh, and Cool Kid Keto also says the whole time they thought this was a sort of video game. And Blue Dove reminds him that that's the Nintendo Switch. And J-Dog says, when I mentioned the V60 Switch, he was wondering how many ports was that. Oh, and whether it was better than gigabit Ethernet. Let me tell you, it makes my coffee so better than Ethernet. I can do without the internet. I cannot do without my coffee. So, we're lots of jokes about chicken legs. The warden says they're ear hustling because they're having dinner. OP says they're late but in time for coffee. Oh yeah, we're just getting started, and I don't know. I've got too many things, so I don't know. It also, whenever I do too much, I sometimes get scattered and overwhelmed, so we'll see. It's likely to go off the rails, but no real surprise there. Anyways, with about 15 grams of coffee, you're going to want about 250 milliliters of water. And actually, I probably should make sure I get my water good and heated up, because it's not. So we'll wait a minute for that. I'll give this a little shake to give it a little level off, and then poke my little hole in the center, like I like for my brew. So while I'm waiting for the water, I will start to talk a little bit about the cake pops. I want you guys to know that I just went like extreme on the cake pops. I don't know what got into me, but I looked up like keto cake pops to see what had already been done. And most of the recipes were like, take this nut butter and then mix it with almond flour and then coat it in some melted chocolate. And I was like, I just thought that sounded okay, and probably it's a much better profile than these are, because these are definitely, once in a while treats, once you're in maintenance kind of things. But I was just like, man, we deserve better. And so I went to work and made cakes, actual cakes, and I made buttercreams, and I'm going to show you how to make chocolate shell, and I'm going to show you how to make ganache. So, uh, yeah. But yeah, so the other thing was with the cake pops. So I definitely saw the nut butter mixed together with almond flour, and that was a common one. And the other one that I saw a lot of were people mixing cream cheese with almond flour and like sprinkles or extra sweetener. And I don't know. I realize that that does in fact kind of make like a cake batter texture, but to me, cake pop is cake. And I know that almond flour moisturized and mixed with nut butter feels like that creamy cake pop center, but it is not cake. So I really just got all over it. All right, there's my water. And we're going to do the same kind of brew that we always do, with one caveat. I need to make sure that this is sealed. I'm not sure, actually. I'm going to pour just enough to bloom. And again, I start from the middle and go around in a circular fashion. And now we're going to let this sit for a minute and burble. And the reason we bloom is just as always because that brings moisture through and gets all of your grounds properly extracting. Now, I will tell you that the other thing about this, and having the ability to retain the fluid in here and let it steep and simmer, is that it helps prevent things like dry pockets. It lets us agitate without increasing the draw speed. And we've talked about, like, especially with things like where we've done like the mocha pot, and we talked a lot about it with the French press and other pour overs, where you can get channeling or pockets, which makes your coffee go bitter or sour, and those are very unsavory things. With the V60 switch, that's less likely to happen, and it's a little more tolerant about your coffee ground. So again, I still went maybe a little finer than you might on a pour over, but I really just liked it, and I don't mind waiting. So I blathered here for about 30 seconds. Let's look at the comments and we'll let it bloom just a little longer. Oh, so extreme on the keto cake pop sounds like a winner to air fry and auntie. J-Dog says that off the rails, that was him for breakfast this morning, that he used the Keto Chow pancake recipe on their website, but felt it was too runny. So he's going back to Joe's recipe, which, if you type in, because I can't really remember Joe's recipe. I believe it was like cream cheese and eggs with the Keto Chow. And yes, it is definitely a heartier recipe. Let's see. Oh, and Tim is asking what a cake pop is. Oh, Tim, you missed out while you were in the sad diet phase. Cake pops are this weird extra moist concoction of cake and buttercream squished together into a little circle and then coated in a some kind of a sweet coating. In our case, we're going to use chocolate shells and ganache. And then they are dipped into another topping on top of that, like sprinkles or peanuts and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. So, and then it's put on a popsicle stick or on a lollipop stick. Now, I will tell you, I don't have lollipop sticks. I checked on 3 different craft stores and 2 grocery stores. There's some weird mad run on lollipop sticks right now. Okay, fine. So now I'm going to finish brewing by adding the rest of my water. Again, working from the center and pouring out in circles to the edge. And I'm going to bring it all the way to the top here. And because I can, I am going to stir. Yes, the thing that we can't do in a lot of pour overs. I usually try to do some by using slightly too small grinds, but here in the V60 switch, I can agitate and stir and get all those fines moving and get the extraction going as much as I like, because it's going to hold in here, and I can wait and let it get good and saturated. Hey Rhonda, good evening. I'm so glad that you're here. So, oh, you're working? Well, that's okay. That happens. Oh, and it's got such a nice crema on top, which, won't necessarily translate down into the coffee. And I know that I've said before that crema doesn't actually mean anything, but from a mental aspect, I really enjoy seeing it. So I just set that to the side. Now here we go. Ta-da! So I held it all that time in there, and as you can see now, the drawdown is swift, and my coffee is looking gorgeous. Hold that up for you. So super pleased with the V60 switch, and you will see it's going to start to slow because it's going to hit the grounds and hit that level, and we're going to wait and let it just casually drip a little bit on its own before we pour it. I actually have some more water that I can put in here at this point. Okay, I can't do it from that far away. I have to bring it closer to me. There we go. That's the remainder of my water. I thought I had a little more, but nope. So yeah, and I'm just going to let it rest. We always like to let our coffee rest and breathe. Oh, let's see. Blue Dove says they've killed 3 bags of porking goods so far. They really like the butter and the pepperoni pizza kinds. The salt and vinegar was very vinegar forward. I agree with you on all of that. I do find the vinegar to be really, really super powerfully vinegary. And I think people who really love salt and vinegar like it that way, because my kid is a salt and vinegar fan, and they're like fantastic. It's perfect. So it was a bit intense for me. The dill pickle is also pretty intense, but I really like dill pickle flavor, so it didn't bother me. But yeah, it actually does restrain me because it makes me not eat the whole bag in a sitting. So, oh, Michelle has joined us and says yes, they agree that cake pops are good. Oh, and OP says that the fluffy pancakes will bring it up. The warden said they had a French press at a coffee shop yesterday. How was it? That sounds great. I love when other people are dealing with the French press over me. Oh, and Tim says he's been using the percolator lately. We're going to be doing our percolator. I've been resistant to it, and I don't really have a good valid reason because I love percolator coffee. Oh, Cool Kid Keto says they needed to give one of their pups a pill. They didn't have cheese or peanut butter, so they had to hide it in a pork rind. That's a good tactic. I might have to consider that, although my dog is, yeah. Fortunately, I almost always have cheese. I can't remember the last time we ran out of cheese, so I'm good on that front. But I will say that is the best thing ever because we've trained him for cheese time at night. So, because he has to take a baby aspirin and a Benadryl because he has really bad allergies and he has arthritis. So I work him up all excited and say, who wants cheese? And he gets up and he jumps and dances and boom, a little teeny ball of cheese and he's medicined. Can't go wrong with that. Oh, and Blue Dove says they've encased the pills in butter too. That's smart. That's another good one because they do get into that. So I gotta take this. My Bluetooth is on and I can hear myself in it. So I'm just gonna take it off so it's not so right. I'm not getting a weird echo. There we go. So anyways, now that my coffee is done, as you can see, I mean, it wasn't that long. It took a little bit extra, but it's done, and the drawdown wasn't that bad today. Some days it takes a little longer, but I really gave it a lot of agitation and stuff. And man, it smells divine. Still a couple little drips. It's good. All right, so I'm going to set my switch aside and get my coffee cup. I love the beaker. I was tempted to drink it from the beaker, but I'm going to go ahead because also, similar to like wines and stuff, when you pour it back and forth, it also helps the coffee a little bit. Really nice. I need to set my beaker down because I want to show it to you again when we get to talking to other things. Also, I can move that. Set this to the side. Have a drink of water. Is it echoing or are you making a different joke, J-Dog? Anyways, hopefully it's not echoing. I'm not sure. But I'm going to bring this over here. And I have another kettle of water. But first, I'm going to show you. And by the way, I took all of the recipes and I actually put them in the description ahead of time. So you have things. What I have here is the peanut butter buttercream and a bowl. And okay, I just wasn't, always making sure that it's a joke and it's just, if you don't ask. So also I made my cakes and I want you to know I stored them in these gallon Ziploc bags with a paper towel because keto cakes do tend to sometimes have a little bit of grease. In this case, they don't. As you can see, you can't see through the paper towel or anything like that. But it'll stick to the plastic. So I do like to put a parchment or paper towel on there. This is the peanut butter cake. And I'm not going to make the entire... Oh, the Bluetooth comment. I'm not going to make the entire batch tonight. So I'm going to slip it back into the bag. But already a piece is breaking off. And you can see the cake. Let me stand up and get out of the screen. It's got a nice texture. It's a fluffy, not like a gooey thing, which a lot of keto cakes can get. I really feel like I got a good thing going with this particular peanut butter cake. It's a winner. The other thing I can tell you, though, is if you don't want to make a whole cake from scratch, you can get a vanilla cake mix, keto cake mix. The Swerve cake mix has come out all right, and they do have kind of a lot of questionable ingredients, but it's not the worst. Good D's has a pretty decent cake mix, and their ingredients are decent enough. And I'll find a place to put these leftover cakes down there. Good D's does have tapioca, fiber, and starch, but they do okay. Oh, Sad Centrist said they wanted Buffalo Wild Wings, but they had a 2-hour wait. 2 hours? That's insane. You know what? As much as I like wings, I ain't waiting 2 hours. And, Air Fry Nancy? I have already posted the recipes. They're in the description of the stream. I was actually proactive and had enough time to do that. So, like a crazy person, I just went to it. Now, this is the messy part, but I'm going to tell you it's 100% worth it. You need to just use your hands to squish it together. You take your cake and you get it broken up. And because that's what's going to make the cake pop is squishing everything together. And then you take frosting. Now, I will tell you, start with smaller amounts of frosting, work it in until you get the right texture. It's never really ever a measured thing. And I don't know why when they're the exact same recipes. But it is what it is. But you just get in there, and you need the frosting when you're using actual cake, because that's what holds it together in that moldable format. Plus, it tastes great. So, but yeah, in the recipes, I put the recipe for the cake, but you can buy a vanilla cake mix and add like 3 or so tablespoons of peanut flour to that cake mix, and it will also work just fine. So I made like a metric ton of buttercream though, because I don't really know how to scale it down to little bits. But buttercream is the same in the keto world as it is in the regular world, with the only difference being that you should use a powdered artificial sweetener. I see all these recipes where people try to make it all complex, and I'm like, no, you just need to cream your butter and your sweetener, add your extract of choice, and if you're using a flavoring, like in this case, I used peanut butter with it. You cream that in, and that's it. Buttercream should not be complicated. If it has a list of ingredients and they're trying to add gums or starches to their buttercream, forget that recipe. It's no good. They're trying to compensate for something that doesn't need done. This is an awesome buttercream. And while I'm squishing my cake here, you can see it's coming together like in a dough, but it's still not quite doughy enough. So I'm going to grab another blob of buttercream to work in. And that should be way plenty. And then I touched it with my hand that didn't have a glove, so let me wipe my hand off on a towel. Oh, and Sad Centra says the restaurant wasn't even full. They went to a place they've never been, wings and more. Oh, well, how were they? And then Sad Centra, J-Dog said that they make their own versus waiting 2 hours. 10 minutes in the Instapot sauce and 5 to 10 minutes on broil, and they're done. Yeah, I like to do the wings in the air fryer. So, it's also cheaper. And Sad Centra says they rarely go out, so they also make their own at home about once a week. It's just going to be a treat. Yeah, real disappointing, that wait time at Buffalo Wild Wings. We have that sometimes. The wait times get crazy. I went to a chicken place last night with some friends, and I was glad that they got there early, and the wait was like 45 minutes, and that's normal for a Saturday night, but I think if it had been 2 hours, we would have been like, forget it. All right, so let me push this together a little bit to show you what it should look like. So here you go. I know it doesn't look that great, and I'm not sure you can truly see, excuse me, the texture, but you can see it's just basically, now it's back to being moist. It's almost like the consistency of a raw scoopable cookie dough, and that is what you look for cake pop dough. And I'm going to tell you the other thing about this is that I couldn't find lollipop sticks for anything. I really tried hard, and it's so weird because they are almost always in the cake section and in the baking section of even just like your standard grocery store, but I don't know, maybe there's some kind of event. I need a second glove, because now what I'm going to do is roll these into balls. Let's see what we've got going on over here. Airfryer Auntie says they like to do everything in the air fryer, which, well, that makes sense. Anyways, you just mold these into balls. They're going to go off camera for a minute because I've got a tray over here and I still have too many things in front of me. But I'm going to roll some balls real quick. And you don't have to be perfect about it. They just need to be round. You can even, I brought a cookie scoop and I'm like, that's just too much effort. I can certainly just roll it with my hands. They don't have to be anything special. Here you go. This will take us some time too, because I still have the next 2 cakes. We'll set some stuff aside, and then we've got to make the coating. And J-Dog says, roll into balls. Where's Rachel when we need her? Balls, balls, balls. I'll say it. Balls. But let's see. What else we got going on? J-Dog says Tuesday is Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday. He didn't think it was so soon. Yeah. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that either, but it does make some sense because, like, all of a sudden, yep, there we go. So you just roll it around and make it nice and smooth. And when we were kids, I say we because I assume many of you are not that far off, and that not just it wasn't just my generation who used to make them. There used to be like that recipe for like peanut butter balls, and I realized that these are peanut butter as well, but it used to be like peanut butter and confectioner's sugar, and you would roll them, and then you would roll them in cornflakes, and they were like supposed to be healthy snacks. But that whole ball rolling process from that is the same thing that you do for this, only this is definitely, it may not be like the greatest because it's still cake and it's still frosting and it's a lot of artificial sweetener, but it's certainly better than actual confectioner's sugar and peanut butter, and no one is fooled here thinking this is health food. These 2 are small, and I have one that's really big. I will also say that despite the fact that once we're done coating a few of these, I'm going to plop some onto a plate and eat it, even though it's not going to be set up. What has to happen after we get everything coated is they have to go in the freezer, or at least into the fridge. But yeah. And there's no reason that you couldn't just eat the cake dough balls. But I don't recommend eating a lot of them all at once. In fact, I actually thought that I would only be making like 1 or 2 this evening, but turns out I'm making several. That one's really giant. I'm going to take a pinch off of this giant one and roll it onto one of the smaller ones. I know. Why am I even worrying about it? Craziness. There we go. Very flexible. And boom. So take my gloves off for a second. Dirty dish goes away. And I still have like 3/4 of a cake. I kind of figured that I would take the leftovers and figure something out, even if that was to, oh, there it is. Sorry, I got lost for a second. I had the wrong size lid. But yeah, so, and then I can always make them a little bit later in the week. Darn, a little piece of frosting fell off. So, wow, I didn't think this all the way through. I needed like one more place to put stuff down. That's all right, I'll stack it. And I am making a huge mess, but that's the joy of cake balls, right? Making a great big old mess. The cloth has to be washed anyways. Let me just get some of these crumbs though, because it's too many. It's bothering me. That's too messy. I'm really glad that we bought some extra tablecloths. It makes life a lot easier. How did I get stuff way up there? All right. Into the dirty dishes. So, Hungry Heath is saying, so I guess that's a no on the wooden skewers. You could probably use a wooden skewer. Again, I think that it's going to run into the same problem that I'm going to run into, because I may not have lollipop sticks, but I do have coffee stirrers. And so I kind of thought I might try to stick one on there, but to be honest, I'm fairly tempted to just roll these and throw them back on the tray and just let them be cake balls instead of cake pops. It's the same thing. The other thing you would normally do with the lollipop sticks is that you would have, the live stream kind of limits some of the things that you're doing. Ahead of time with lollipop sticks, you would be making your shell and you would go ahead and you would be dipping about an inch of the way up into the shell and then freezing it. Then when you stick it into the cake pop, for some reason that helps it stay on more secure. But, and Air Frying Auntie says we just need to let the icing go down on the stick a tiny bit to cement it on there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We might try it, and what's the worst thing that happens? It falls off onto the table, and then I have to put it back on the plate. Big deal. Anyways, so I'm going to let that sit to the side for a minute, and then we'll talk about the coating, because I'm still going to wait even longer, and I'm going to talk about the next cake. The next cake, I put the link to the recipe, and I didn't type it all the way out because I feel like those of us who have used Keto Chow before will be familiar with it, and if you're not familiar with it, you can click on the link and you'd go there and okay, I know what this is for. Excuse me. But this is the Keto Chow Pina Colada Pound Cake, and it is a hearty cake. Sorry, I'm having a moment of disorganized. We'll use this bowl. So, but, it's a great cake. We love the Pina Colada Pound Cake. And I've tried it with a couple other flavors, and I will have to say that for some reason, this recipe works better with the Pina Colada than it does with others. Because I thought vanilla coconut or chocolate coconut, because it uses coconut milk, would be tasty. But the texture wasn't quite the same. I'm going to give the chocolate another go and tweak it a little bit, but the pina colada is really one of my favorite flavors anyways, which is weird because I don't like pineapple. But I do when it's fake pineapple. Okay, there doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason to that. So, I'm just going to tear a piece off, a couple pieces off, but we'll do like last time. I'll show you. As you can see, the texture of the cake is there we go, is a pretty nice. It's not super fluffy, but it's not fudgy moist. It is cake, but it's definitely way moister, and it's definitely way closer to a pound cake and not a light and fluffy birthday cake. So, that's plenty. Let me get this cake put away. Like I said, partial batches. Even for us, we only need so many cake balls, and all of the stuff can be stored or frozen, etc. But I will also tell you that the pound cake makes a huge cake. I actually don't have a bundt pan. I know I used to have like 5 or 6 bundt pans, but now I have 0. So I use a silicone sunflower one, and then I take some of my extra batter and put them into the little silicone donuts. So I have some of the little cakes. These cakes are actually really great if you, for cycling, since I know there are other couple cycling people here, because they will stay put together in your pocket. And I will tell you, it is a nice treat after quite a few miles to get down there and pull a little cake out of your pocket. So this is the Pina Colada Pound Cake. And now I'm looking much more reasonable, although I have so many crumbs. There we go. Because these containers are much smaller. I made a pineapple buttercream by taking the standard buttercream with your, it's butter and powdered confectioner's sugar. And then I mixed it with, I put a little bit of pineapple extract. So. Oh, cool, Keto. We can hide a baby in the cake ball like the Mardi Gras. I wish I had thought to buy the stuff to make I just need food coloring. I could have made Mardi Gras cake balls. That would have been funny, but I didn't think of it in time. So I should have hit a baby in the pina colada cake. That would have been hilarious. I had to move my scoops because there's no reason to have them here. There we go. Slowly getting a little bit tidier, and that helps me a lot. Anyways, I will also, am short a glove, but that's all right. This frosting got cold and firm, but that's okay because it warms up. You do, by the way, want it to go ahead and be harder. Like sometimes when you make buttercream, you don't necessarily make as much. You don't usually make a lot of extra because it gets too hard in the fridge. In this case, that's okay because you're going to be squishing it with your fingers, and that makes it so that you need that makes it softer and warms it back up again. So if you start out too soft, you run the risk of it getting greasy, and we don't want that. So set this aside in case we need some more. I will tell you also the pina colada pound cake is a fairly moist cake anyway, so you might not need as much frosting. And Attila, if you are here and you are listening, and you know where there are some additional gloves, I could actually use one if you wanted to sneak one down to me, but it's not a necessity. I'll be fine. I also have towels to wipe my hands if I need to. But we'll start with this part anyways. Like maybe I'll just wipe my hand on the towel. For the buttercream for the pina colada cake, why are we getting angry face? I use the butter and then the confection powdered sweetener, and then I used pineapple extract instead of vanilla. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the moist word. I forgot about that. And I have to unfortunately say it like 100 times because that's a big important part of cake balls. But because yeah, that's like the super big deal about them is that they're. Oh, of course. Heath made a funny. He says, "Do the cake balls need to be moist?" Yes, it's the very definition of the cake balls, is that they are moist. I'm sorry, Renee. Anyways, but I will. Oh, and the other thing that I added to the pineapple buttercream is that I did grind up coconut. The coconut flakes, I actually threw them in my Magic Bullet blender and added that to it to give it a little bit towards that pina colada profile, which is coconut and pineapple. The other thing I will tell you that when you have the pina colada pound cake is you do get a little bit of texture in there because there is little bit of coconut in the cake, and also parts of it get nice and toasty brown. So that's definitely a thing. Trying to decide if this is good or if I need a little more frosting. Let me squish it a little more. So, and you know, since it gets brown, so you do get like those little toasty bit, and I really like that. Oh, Heath, you're being terrible. Hungry, he says he's moistly just goofing around. Oh, you know, I feel like it's like, you know how we always joke about Heath wants spankings? He's such a brat sometimes that it makes me wonder. I'm just saying. Let's see. And the warden says he doesn't have a moist shirt. Oh, and Hoofinit says they like unsweet tea. I also like unsweet tea. I was a weirdo. I had never really had sweet tea until I moved north. And when I say north, I actually mean I moved north first and I still drank unsweet tea, but at least I heard of sweet tea. And then I moved to the Midwest and they like sweet tea just like they do in the South. Only I think sometimes even sweeter. It's disgusting. I'm sorry for people who love that, but oh my goodness, it is very, very, very sweet. Like, it is like syrup, and I'm like, I don't understand how that becomes a beverage. Just pull one out and hand it over. How awesome is that when you say something on the live stream and they hear you and actually bring you things? Just one? Okay, thank you. And I got like a whole pile. Thank you. So anyways, it's perfect. As you can see, now I've got my dough ball. And J-Dog says that Patty can't stand sweet tea. So, and then Cool Kid Keto says they may need to start twinning with moist shirts. Hungry Heat is asking where the spanking thing came from. You know what? Honestly, I think that might have been a, I don't know if it was the warden or if it was Chris Bear, I think, actually, who said we were going to spank you at Keto Palooza. Not that we did. You escaped. But I don't remember. And it just stuck with me because I found it extra funny. So, okay. Now that I have a lot of gloves, it'll be easier to roll the balls without getting filthy. Not that it's really a big deal. It's just cake and it'll wipe right off. But, you know. It's nicer to wear gloves for such activities. Also, I believe now I can move this tray and let the balls roll. I can get rid of this frosting there and boom. All right. Oh, that's right. It'll be time for birthday spankings for next Keto Palooza. Let's see. Cool Kid said they grew up with one of their chores being to always make sweet tea daily. Oh my goodness. That's a good big responsibility for people who drink sweet tea, though. They must have trusted you. And J-Dog says Hungry Heat just needs to embrace the spank. Instead, Santa says balls. So let's see. Brianna is asking, is it iced tea or iced tea? Whichever it is, they love unsweetened, but recognize that you're a weirdo. Actually, it seems like in this channel, you're not a weirdo. Well, these ones are big. I don't care because the pina colada pound cake is definitely one of my favorites. Try and be more reasonable with the ball size. And Hungry He says, pro tip, unsweet tea is just dirty water. And let me tell you, my friend, I disagree. Blue Dove says we need paddles in our KPL swag bags now. Oh, I'm going to have to send Autumn an email. If not all of them, at least there needs to be a special one for Heath. And Cool Kid Keto says, who actually orders lean brisket? The moist is so much better. I agree. Actually, when I order brisket, if you go to the right places, I order my brisket at a full cut. And that is so that they don't, and full cut means they don't trim the fat away. And if they're not trimming the fat away, I get that nice smoky fat layer with that little bit of crisp on it. And it is just divine. I mean, I don't cut that stuff. Wait, man, why did I made too much? So, but yeah, I definitely, like I said, so full cut because I just really prefer it that way. And some places will upcharge you, which I think is funny because it's more work to trim the brisket. So, but what? I don't know why. I don't know what they do with the fat that they need to upcharge for cutting it less. So, That's just one of those weird things. You guys are killing me. It's so funny. uh, oh, Hoofness says the quote on their road ID bracelet says, "Be weird. Everyone is someone else's weirdo." Yay. That's true. Gosh, I wish I had put something clever on my road ID, but I made it very serious, and I used the extra line to put more about my seizures and stuff. I really, I didn't even think about being interesting. I'm making this one extra giant because I don't want to make more dough, and I want to take care of the chocolate. You know, like I said, I thought I was going to make like only like 2. So I don't know that I have even enough stuff to make all of the cover for it, but that's all right because I think they'll be good plain as well. Squish. There we go. So that's the pina colada. Dirty dish goes into the dirty dish container. Well, I've got a lot smarter with these live streams when I started bringing down a dirty dish container so that when I clean up after the stream, everything goes in just 2 trips. So, and it makes it's much better than doing 20 trips up and down the stairs carrying stuff. Have to take a break for some coffee. Oh, it's perfect temperature right now. I got it just right. I love when that happens. So, the last cake I have is chocolate. And I went full wild on the chocolate. And the chocolate cake, when you make keto cakes, I'm sorry, it's never going to be a light, fluffy chocolate cake. It's just not. It doesn't work no matter what you do. Either in order to achieve a true cake, the ingredients get so far out of the norm that it's really no longer something very keto compliant. Even the keto cake that we've been making recently is not that great for you. And so this is no different. Got my last mixing bowl. It's starting to feel better around here, which is good. Because, man, I really did bring everything. So, anyways, but I think I got a pretty good brownie. So, these are really mint chocolate brownie bites is what they're going to be. But this is the chocolate cake. It's just a small round. And I'll tell you, I hadn't made the association until I started making it. It's almost the same recipe as the 2 Crazy Ketos flourless chocolate cake, with a big difference being that this recipe asks you to whip the egg whites to get into stiff peaks, and I've got some egg white protein powder in there, so it's got a heartier protein profile. And I will say, and you can see that it's not greasy. But when you make this cake, and it is a very heavy brownie, when you make it, when you initially take it, you're going to be worried because it seems like it's pooling grease. Grease is going to drip out everywhere. You're going to poke the cake a little bit and grease is going to spooge out. It's fine. It's fine. Do not let that fool you. It is. There you go. So you can see it's cake, and it is a brownie cake, not your light fluffy birthday cake, which, works, but it's not the same as, maybe I don't want to make that many chocolate ones. The chocolate is really good to mix in later with, coffee treats. So I might save that and cut it into little squares to have with coffee. But yeah, so it's very, very similar, except for that you're folding in the egg whites to the chocolate batter. And I hadn't thought about it until I started making it, and I was like, this is almost the same thing. I will also tell you that this is not a great buttercream. There it is. for frosting cakes. This buttercream is strictly for cake popifying because of the texture. If you guys want me to, I will put together a good chocolate buttercream for cake frosting. But because this was going into cake pops, it didn't need to look great. I wanted it to be intense. And so for that, I used the butter. And instead of melting, because normally to make a good chocolate buttercream, you would melt chocolate and use real chocolate. Not that this isn't real chocolate, but in this case, because I wanted the intense flavor, I used cocoa powder and black cocoa powder. And then a little bit of mint, because I went with a chocolate mint profile. And that is why it's a little bit, it's not the greatest texture. It's a little bit, I don't know what the right word is. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you won't really be able to tell on camera, but it's like, almost like, it looks like if it were broken. When if you've made stuff and it's a little bit broken, but not all the way. Like this is where if you were cooking it on the stove, that people would freak out on TV and be like, oh no, my chocolate's breaking. It's kind of like that texture, but not totally because it still holds together and it's not dripping or anything. But you definitely wouldn't want to frost the exterior of a cake with it. It's an interior filling sort of buttercream. But the taste is bar none. It is a perfect mix-in buttercream. And that is what you need for cake pop. So, that's fine. But, all right. There we go. Just get right in here. And the brownie is a little bit sturdier than the other cake. So it takes a little extra effort to break it up. So you just have to really get a good crumble. And I do have a little bit of heavy cream here that's for the chocolate shell, or for the ganache rather. But if I need to, I might add a little bit in here because it does tend to, because of all the cocoa powders, get a little dry. OP points out that the black chocolate can be gritty. Yes, gritty is the right word, but man, the taste is just so good. Oh, we're still talking about moist balls. And then Blue Dove says they still bring the fat they peel off home, and their son eats it. They barely get a second helping after buying 3 pounds at the barbecue place. Yep. Right there, Fried Auntie says, dang, I made 3 kinds of cake. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I don't know what was with me, and I just went crazy. I was like, if I'm doing cake pops, I'm all in. So, like, I wouldn't recommend ever doing that. Now we're going to have to freeze cake, and it's just insane. Making a huge mess here with this. Ugh. And the chocolate was the only one I was really concerned might be a little bit questionable, but even that, it's going to work out just fine. It's just that the chocolate absorbs moisture like crazy and tends to not get as sticky as easily, but seems to be working out. And if I need to, I can pull the rest of that buttercream in or drizzle in a little bit of the heavy cream, which would also be a nice addition. But I definitely went for intensely dark chocolate. Well, I better get moving. It's already 7:30 and we have to do shells and roll this stuff. I don't know, guys. I might have overdone it, but that's all right. If anybody has a hard stop, that's fine. If not, if we run a little over, we run a little over. Really, the 8 o'clock deadline is more for me to like be mindful that I gotta work stupid early in the morning. And my kid asked for a ride tomorrow morning very early as well because they're going to have a physical therapy appointment before they have to go to their 8 a.m. class. So I took a little bit of time to make sure I can do that in the morning. Oh, it's perfect. What was I worried about? All right, so there's our chocolate. And as you can see, just like the rest, it's made like a nice dough. Form the balls. Cool Kid Keto says they made barbacoa yesterday using chuck roast instead of beef chuck. And was sad that it wasn't as fatty. I don't know. I don't mind sometimes because I can add fat in other ways, especially with like dipping sauces and such. Oh, and Blue Dove is asking if the black cocoa changed the texture. Probably a little bit, but more I think it's because I know what I was doing and I knew I was going to do that. Really, it was because I went with the powdered in at all as opposed to melting more chocolate and then mixing the liquid chocolate in. That's the proper way to do a chocolate buttercream. Cocoa powder buttercreams are never the best choice, even in the regular cooking world. Even though some places will tell you that's the thing to do, they are wrong, and that's okay. They can be wrong. Oh, Brianna says they set their alarm for 4:25 tomorrow morning so they can exercise before work. Wow, that's definitely some dedication. Let's see. I definitely didn't mean to make this many, but which I've said like 10 times now. Probably just because I'm shocking myself with having made too many. Well, it is what it is. And I'm making these extra giant. I don't know why. I'm going to make this one into 2 small ones. And the nice thing about this, though, is that all of the other things, the stuff we're going to roll them in, it's all easily, all I have to do is cover it up, put it in the fridge, and then I can always warm it up to use it. So it's not like there's any rush or hurry or anything. And that's a really nice position to be in when you get little projects like this. So there we go. Right now, cake balls. And little crumbs. Now that I think about it, perfect. Got my dirty dishes again. Just give me a second. Clean my crumbs that have just gone everywhere. This is why it's fun with kids, though, because definitely, you know, kids love, well, some kids love a mess. And this is definitely not tidy. You definitely want to put down like a plastic or something if you're doing things with kids. So let me bring the next part, though, which is going to be putting together the shells and the coatings. Let me start here. And what I'm going to do is just get a double boiler going. You're familiar with these, because we've done them before on live streams. You just take a little bit of your hot water, and what I've got here is peanut butter and coconut oil. The coconut oil is what's going to make it solidify. And you just take those over your double boiler, and we're going to let it warm up. And ooh, it's cold down here, and so everything is extra solid. It's going to take a moment or 3. So I definitely didn't plan appropriately and time this right, which is crazy since I did a lot of prep ahead. Probably I should have just done 1 flavor, but 1, 3, whatever. And I even got all the recipes into the description this time around, so it's not like you're just waiting. Let's see, what do we... Oh, Sarah has joined us and says they're late and asking what I'm making, and I see that Air Fry and Annie has answered that I'm making cake balls. So, yeah. And you're just gonna It's just going to take a few minutes for this to melt, but the water's going strong. And this is another thing that I'm telling you, you want to use a double boiler. Because, there we go. You want to use a double boiler and not direct on the heat. You will see some people will tell you it's fine to do it in a pot on the stove. I'm going to tell you 100% that will be big regrets. You always want to use a double boiler to melt things like coconut oil and chocolates. So, it will happen. Just takes a few minutes. So, oh, Rhonda says they made keto cookies with the grandkids yesterday. Oh, love them. Would be great to make them. Oh yeah, the cake pops would be good to make with them. That would be good. You know, I almost thought about trying to start some of this ahead of time, but I thought it would solidify before I got onto the live stream. That's too low. Just can't get the heat right. Oh, I figured out what you meant. So, a little more hellos. And the warden also said, oh, we're making cake balls. And this is coming together. It's getting melty. So, it will happen. It's hard to be patient, though. And I might not have brought enough coconut oil down. Might need a little extra because it's getting very peanut buttery. But there's still a couple big lumps in here. I'm not sad about that because we're just going to roll a couple of the cake balls in it to give the general idea. And I think that I would like to do the pina colada one, but we'll do the chocolate ganache first. And Blue Dove says they use the microwave when they can. And yeah, I basically hardly ever use the microwave. I am much more of a double boiler sort because I feel like it gives me better control. And I never have seizing of products in the double boiler, whereas I have had that happen in the microwave. So, but it's definitely, if you are good with the microwave, then it's definitely a really good method. All right. I only have one little nodule of coconut oil at this point. Oh, there's two. So give me a minute to, it's almost there. Because what has to happen is I have got to bring this down to counter level so that I can appropriately mix it because the coconut oil is not mixed in yet. It's just melted. All right. We'll move this to the side and then we'll get it going again for the next one. But when I have a little leverage, it's definitely easier to get everything mixed together. This sometimes takes a little effort because of the peanut flour that I use to make the peanut butter. Because I don't keep like a jar of peanut butter. I use the peanut flour and I add the water. So, and it's not necessarily coming out the way it usually does, which is irritating because live stream. But such is life. Maybe I needed my whisk and I didn't bring it down here. But that's all right. We just keep it going. It is sort of working. It's just taking its sweet time today. Which, of course, is because I'm trying to rush. Oh, and Tim says he put a ribeye in the vortex. I love ribeye. And I will say, as much as I like my steaks out on the grill, it does not bother me one single bit to do them in the air fryer. I think they come out fine. I love sous vide. You know what? Honestly, there's not a single method that I don't like ribeyes made. Except for maybe well done. Oh, and Bluegrass says they've been in love with Keto Chow Fluff lately. Man, I really got to go at this. It's just taking its sweet time, emulsifying. I splashed myself. That's not great. All right, so almost there. Anyways, you really do need, I probably needed to thin this out a little bit more because it's a little bit thick and frostingy. If I were up in my kitchen, I'd probably add more liquid to it, but I don't necessarily. Oh, actually, I do have that option. Duh. There you go. All right. So, hope I didn't overdo it there. Anyways, a whisk would be divine. There we go. Now it's coming to the right. I just needed more liquid for that peanut flour. Perfect. So, there we go. That was all it needed, was a little more fluid. Perfect. So you take your cake ball, you throw it onto your lollipop stick. This is definitely not great. There we go. And you roll it in to your shell. I can tell you that it's not holding onto the stick real well. So we may do some improv there. And this is my favorite part. I took crushed peanuts and bacon. And then I also have just peanuts because the rest of my family did not want bacon and peanuts. So we will give that a dip. And it broke from the, oops. Yeah, so. All right, so no to the stick. It definitely needs the lollipop sticks. Not the, there we go. And then what you would do is normally you would put this in the freezer. But this one's going to fall apart because it didn't like the stick. So we're going to roll it. All right. Well, I thought the coffee stirrers seemed like a good plan, but that's all right. We'll make cake truffle balls. I'm going to do one more in the bacon and peanuts. And that is how we improv. So there you go. I feel like maybe I could stick the stick in there after the fact, which sometimes you do as well. Let's see what we've got. Oh, and J-Dog says no regrets. No regrets. I love that one, by the way. The no regrets. That tattoo is hilarious. I feel really bad for it, but I'm pretty sure it's fake, so not that bad. Just going to roll this. And then I'm going to dip it in the plain peanuts. And that one looks really nice. I feel like I want to put another stick in there, but I feel like that it might be a mistake. No, it's perfect. There you go. So after you dip, not before. If you have the lollipops, you can do them before, like I said though, but you're supposed to do the shell early and freeze them so it has something to adhere to. And these don't have anything to adhere to. So, such is life. But I can tell you that the the peanut butter is already firming up a little bit on the balls. You can see it drying up a little. It says normally you do need to stick them in the fridge for, you know, for a day or so. Let me grab this little fork, dip this one right into the peanuts. And there's another ball. Let's see. Tim said, oh, let's see. Oh, and exchange student 2 said that the variety is great, so they're glad that we made 3 kinds. The warden says yum, and they will take all of the bacon, and they look awesome. So I'm glad that they look good. I'm disappointed that the coffee stir sticks didn't work out, but hey, you know, it is what it is. And there's one more. And the last one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix my toppings together so we can have one less dirty dish, or one more dirty dish. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. All right. And I've rolled that one around, and we'll throw it in. And there is the last of the peanut. So, real quick here, I say, haha. I'm going to, let me just set this aside. Let's talk about the ganache. Ganache is nothing. Everybody makes a big deal about ganache. It sounds like it's a really big, scary thing to make, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to make ganache in the last few minutes of our live stream with no worries whatsoever. Ganache is not a scary, fancy thing. Oh, and Lisa asked if the coffee has been made. Yes, it's been made for a while. We made it right away at the beginning. But ganache, it's chocolate, and you start melting it together with heavy cream, and that is all there is to ganache. People act like it is some kind of amazing, super special trick. And by the way, the chocolate chips I used for this ganache are the Lily's chocolate mint baking chips, which goes with the mint buttercream that I put in the extreme chocolate cake, or brownie rather. So let's see. Oh, exchange student says they made a hillbilly steak, fried up some bologna. You know what? Fried bologna tastes good. So I don't care if it's like a redneck thing. Oh, and while this melts, we have to do something really super important. Guys, giveaway. I'm going to do the giveaway real quick for, I almost forgot, my goodness, the Keto Salted Caramel Collagen, which never looks good on camera, but there we go. Let's do it. I'm going to flip over to the pick a winner. Let's see. I'm going to paste the URL. I'm going to hit fetch. All right, anything goes. Sounds good to me. Hopefully it doesn't pick me. I'll just redraw if it does. All right, 18 comments. And Wild Zen. They're not a fan of sharp cheese once in a while, but they're betting that it would be good. Oh, because I picked the seriously sharp video. So Wild Zen, congratulations. Let me see if I can get all my screens back to normal. Hopefully that was working right and you all got to see it. Let me find the chat again. Okay, so Wild Zen, you need to send an email to radicalgeek42@gmail.com with your address so that we can ship out your keto collagen. And if they're not here, I'll tell you what will happen is if they don't send me an email by end of the week, then we will redraw again. And I will just be picking videos at random. So, you know, make sure that you're commenting. And we'll just keep picking winners until someone wins that wants the collagen. But Wild Zen, congratulations. So, how exciting. And that collagen, this one, actually, it tastes pretty good. So, but also, so Ganache, you definitely want to make it on the double boiler. It's got the same thing. You can do it. People say to do it directly on the flame. It will seize up on you. Microwave is fine. It's actually pretty good too. But yeah, definitely got to keep an eye on it, and it's easy to go over. Whereas the double boiler, you'll almost always catch it before it seizes. And if it does start to seize, we have a fix for it. And if it happens here, I'll show you, because I always bring the fix with me just in case. But it hardly ever happens to me on the double boiler, only in the microwave. I'll tell you what the fix is for your ganache, though. The fix is actually to add fat. And the minute it looks like your ganache is going to seize up, you need to throw a blob of butter in there. And I see like professional chefs on cooking shows, and they screw it up and it starts to seize up and they panic and throw it out. And I'm like, sometimes they try to do stuff to fix it right away. And I'm like, they just need to calm down. If they calm down and threw the butter in there, all of their heartache would have been alleviated. And now we can turn this off. Grab my ganache, which is ready. And that was all there is to it. Look at that. It's perfect. It's a fudgy and delightful. Everything is melted and nice. I don't think I'm going to attempt sticks. I'm just going to dump it right in there direct like I did before. I have a towel. I'm just going to touch it. Make a mess onto the towel, on there to dry. And those do need time to set up. They'll have to go in the fridge. But you can see they are so awesomely nice. And they are very messy because ganache is very drippy. Normally, normal people would stick this on a tray with a grate so that the butter, so that it could drip down. And I don't have one of those, so be it. There we go. Here, we'll make it a cake pop. I'll stab one. There we go. So as you can see, fudgy, ganache deliciousness. Cake pop. And just so you know, for the pineapple ones, we can hang around and finish it off if you want, or we can end on time, whichever you believe. But all it is white chocolate chips and coconut oil, so it's the exact same thing. Nothing fancy about it. It's just chocolate shell. I'm going to leave these big messy bad boys right there. Very, very decadent. Sorry to be quiet for a second. Hungry Heath says voted for hanging around and finishing it off. All right, we'll do it. And even as I sit here, even though the ganache will take a while to set up, it is actually thickening. And as you can see, these are gigantic. I don't know what I was doing, but delightful. I look forward to those. Never ever lick your fingers while you're cooking. That's nasty. But I'm not in a professional kitchen, and the only person who's going to be eating these are me, spouse, or kid. So who cares, right? And I will cover these up and store them and rewarm it another time. So that's what the Ganache ones look like. I'm going to add a little more water here. Heat it back up and bring the white chocolate and coconut oil right over to the double boiler. And that will take a few minutes. But hey, these, by the way, have set up quite a bit. As you can see, it's no longer drippy, no longer crazy. I'm going to take the broken one, which, by the way, is still broken. But you can see now it's set. Not 100%, it's soft, but look, nothing comes off on my fingers. And that's so the shell, by the way, by the time tomorrow comes around, they will be nice and solid. I'm going to eat this piece. So good. But and Reichman says they've been quiet, but they're enjoying what we're doing with these cake balls. There would be no no's in their house because they would eat them all. Man, I can't tell you how much I love peanut butter, and I hardly ever have it. So that was like extremely decadent. Also, I've had more sweets this week than I've probably eaten in like years while I was coming up with a lot of this. So maybe some of it's a little weird and not perfect. But what I really wish is you could see the change in the balls, because you can see that they've started changing color from that slick shiny to like a matte shiny. So they're already, look, nothing. So it's already setting up, even though it's not in the fridge. They'll be great. So let me give this a little bit of a stir to encourage the coconut oil to melt. But yeah, out of this world, the peanut butter is spectacular. Saw an orange flash over there, but I guess it's just some water escaping. That's fine. So, oh, and by the way, these white chocolate chips are Bake Believe. I got these actually from the store in Mansfield, our Keto store that was going out of business. So I'm real sad about that part. One thing I forgot to do with the chocolate is initially I was going to dip them in some sprinkles. But I think actually I just prefer I'm going to just leave them plain chocolate. I feel like cake balls need some pizzazz, but I don't know. This gone kind of, well, messy, and that's all right. Messy is fine. I'm going to turn the heat down just a smidge. It's getting a little extra burbly. I'm short, but I'm now, so now I'm out of frame because I've gotten up on my knees so I can look into the dish. The coconut oil is still working its way towards meltiness. But let me move this stick to the refuse. I'm going to flip this one over so that we have room, it's bacon, for the pineapple ones. Let's see. Oh, J-Dog says, I like big balls and I cannot lie. No, I like big balls. That was AC/DC. Oh, no, you're right. It is butts. I always sing balls, though. But, you know, butts, balls, whatever. This is going to be great on replay for people, isn't it? Spanking heat, talking about balls, going on about moisture. So, Oh, and OP says they love experimenting and have been trying to make mounds in almond joy. I might have to think about that. I'm not quite sure I can get it. I'm thinking some coconut and allulose and some coconut oil might come close. Possibly. Oh, this is completely ready now. So let me safety first. Disconnect the gas so it's all good for the evening. And these, not all of them, but at least a couple of them need coconut on the outside as well. That's just highly important. All right. So there we go. I just rolled it in the chocolate shell. I'm going to grab it with a spoon, dump it in the coconut. And by the way, this is some really big coconut flake, so it does not have to coat the whole thing. Just a little bit. And then onto the tray it goes. Well, I'll hold it for you. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's hard to see because it's a white on the bright lights. But these are these really big coconut flakes. But so roll that in the shell. Honestly, easier than the peanuts, probably because of the flake being so large. There you go. AC/DC. More about AC/DC. Cool Kid Keto says if we put salt on the chocolate ones, we'd have to sing like the chef from South Park. Yeah, well, now they're set up too much, so I'm too late to put any other topping on it. Salt would have been a nice addition on a couple of them, though, too. So we've got the peanut butter, the pina colada pound cake, and the chocolate ganache. And recipes are in the description. And Sharon says lime zest with the coconut would be good too. Yeah. I really like my lime to be very lime forward and not as much with the pina colada profile, although I know a lot of people do really enjoy that. So it might, I don't know how it would work with the white chocolate portion though, which that might be adding one too many flavors. But if you didn't do all the coconut on the outside and you didn't have white chocolate, I'm wondering if I have to think about that. I bet I could find a different flavored chocolate that would make that lime profile work out. All right. Last one. All right. There we go. At least one of these needs a stick. There we go. So there's, oops, I threw some coconut on my laptop. That's a mistake. Anyway, so there we go. That's the pina colada. So. And then our chocolate, I don't know, maybe I should call this chocolate truffle because it's the ganache with the chocolate on the chocolate with the dash of mint. So there we go. Cake Pops. And I am still drinking my coffee. J-Dog says, oh, he's playing that song about the rollin', 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 keep those doggies moving. You know what, though? With that song, Rawhide, I always see Billy Crystal in my head from that movie that they made. It was a cowboy comedy, and it was hilarious, but that's what I think of now, because he was so funny. And Warden says they would like one of each of the Cake Pops. So, gosh, man, I was just like a messy Marvin today. Probably did too much. We probably should have done like a cake pop, one cake pop for each live stream for like the next, instead of all three in one night. But this was great. It was so indulgent, and it was a lot of fun to try and put together. So, let's see. And next week we're doing a percolator, so let me know what recipe we want to do. I think I was thinking about doing those fried spam balls. I can't remember, but so maybe we'll just do those, and just, you know, why we were pretty classy and highbrow here, except for that I did it with crazy stuff. But yes, Kofanet's come up with the name City Slickers. Oh, and Sharon's reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up on your way out. Definitely, I really appreciate that. So, and I know it's not set up. I'm going to throw one of these on my plate because I was mostly interested in the pina colada ones. Actually, it's not too far from getting set up. It's still a little bit wet, but not too much. Oh, that's a winner. Oh, it's way sweet though. It's definitely a winner. I would say these are definitely a very, very rare occasional food. Something that you would have like maybe for like a birthday party or something like that. It's way sweet. I'm going to have to find a way to cut back the sweet on it. Oh, and Sad Centra is saying they're making a double batch of the pork belly Brussels sprouts. I made pork belly broccoli. That was also outstanding. Oh, and Elaine says they love Spam. They'd like to hear that recipe. Yeah, I'm still working on it a little bit. It's a riff off of actually Cowboy Kent, who made some fried Spam balls, but we're keto-fying it. So, I know, we're balls crazy here. It's a shame that on Sunday nights that it's so hard for the two crazy ketos to come. I feel like that's kind of right up their alley. All right. So, oh, and Exchange Student 2, you weren't here last week when I said it, and I don't know if you saw the replay, but I just wanted to say thank you for the awesome card. It really picked my whole week up. So I really appreciate it. Thanks again. So, Hungry Heat says that he thinks that these would be perfectly set by the time I mailed them there. Yeah, I don't think that they're really good for mailing. Well, maybe in the winter it wouldn't be too bad, but I can tell you that these are just about there for setting. It's just like very slightly soft and tacky, but it's no longer liquidy at all. And you can slowly see the color of the shell turning on the pina colada ones. So, awesome. I'm gonna indulge and eat one of the chocolate ones tomorrow. The ganache will need the extra time. Cool Kid Keto says they want Cowboy Kent Rollins to adopt me. Sorry, Dad. You know, me too. I love Cowboy Kent Rollins. He's the best. All right. I've kept us long enough. I really appreciate it. I will definitely see you guys soon, and I will be uploading a video tomorrow. But I guess at 8:10, I seem to have a lot of cleanup to do tonight. Attila says, hey, Hungry Heath, Attila says the post office will screw it up if I mail you balls anyways, which is probably true. We're a little salty with them right now, decidedly so. But let's end on a happy note. Man, these balls are fantastic. The peanuts and bacon are amazing. That was probably my favorite, which I thought would be the pina colada. But I haven't got to the chocolate yet. I'll let you guys know. So I will see you guys all. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you. Hit the thumbs up. Remind people to subscribe. All of that happy stuff. I'll let you guys know if Wild Zen gets back to me by end of the week or if we're going to redraw for the collagen. Hopefully they get to watch this on replay and find out they win. I'll post it in the 2 Crazy Ketos because I'm pretty sure they're in there. Good night, everyone. Thanks for sticking around with me. Bye-bye.